Today we're going back to my old stomping ground of Essex because we're talking to a Bespoke kitchen makers. Great business, but they've got some marketing challenges. Specifically, they want to work with bigger and better projects. Can they do it? How can they do it? That's what we're going to be talking about today on the pod. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast designed to help you grow your business by providing practical insights into all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy. Every episode, we help home, garden, and lifestyle brands with their growth challenges by delving into their business, dissecting what they're doing, and defining a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. Let's get into it. Right, hello, welcome back, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me. As I said at the top, we've got a kitchen makers on with us today. And I think it's going to be interesting, this one. It's back in Essex. And we've got a chap called Brandon who's going to be joining us. This business has been going for a good few years. They are doing about 800K turnover. I spoke in the pre-chat about how they're getting their customers, and not enough of them are coming directly into them. So they're getting them through referrals and relationships and partnerships, as I know a lot of people in the sort of the home improvement space do. But Brandon is keen to, one, scale this brand. And secondly, he really needs to look at how he can get more direct clients, more people coming to him for those kitchen projects. He also does some stuff outside of just kitchens, but I'll let him tell us what he does. And then beyond that, what he really wants to do is look at how can I get more of those higher value customers, because he doesn't need that many of them to really transform and take this business to the next level. So that's going to be the conversation. I'll set the scene for you, as I always do on the Grow with Evergreen pod. As I said, he's doing about 70K a month in turnover. He's doing a variety of different marketing activities, of which we're going to go through them. He's outlined his challenges. And as I said, he wants to work with these bigger ticket clients, wants to increase that brand awareness among those more affluent audience. He's asking some questions around, is content marketing the way to go? And I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to say on that. And then he's got some questions and some challenges. So it's going to be interesting where this conversation goes. I've already got some ideas in terms of what I would do if this was my business and how I would grow it. Obviously, what he does with kitchens, that is slap bang in the middle of what we do as an agency in terms of the brands we support, with them being home, garden, lifestyle. So hopefully we can add some value. I think, Darren, if you do the honors, we'll bring Brandon on and we'll get into this. Brandon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm very well, my friend. Yes, very, very good. Thank you so much for jumping on. So do you want to just, in your own words, just give us 30 seconds? What is your business? Over to you.
The business is named Crabtree and Hargreaves. We are bespoke furniture manufacturers. We predominantly specialise in kitchens. That's our main thing that we do. But we also do bedrooms, bathroom, new cabinetry, freestanding cabinetry, fitted media units. Pretty much you name it, we make it. But I say kitchens is the one that we really specialise in, and we're really, really good at that part.
What part of how much of the business is kitchens versus the other areas of the business?
Probably about 70%.
Okay, fine. Okay. And has that been consistent? Because as you say, when you go on your website, you are absolutely putting the kitchen front and center.
Yeah, it hasn't always been the case. I mean, when we first started, predominantly we used to make freestanding furniture, and that just grew, and it just kind of it just evolved into the point where we are now, where we are actually known as being a bespoke kitchen company.
Right, gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, because you're leading in with that. So if I'm a consumer looking at the website, I would assume you are, you're very focused on kitchens. So that's fine. So just to paint us a picture then, in terms of, at the moment, when it comes to the customers you're working with, where are they coming from? I sort of touched on it at the top, but what proportion of your customers are coming direct to you guys that are finding you via online, offline, versus how reliant are you on other third parties to bring in that new business?
I would say probably 90% of our custom is referral in one way or another. We've got, over the years, have built up some really good relationships with architects and builders,
Right.
And interior designers, and that's how we predominantly get most of our work.
90%. Wow. Okay. And then so the final little portion is coming through your website, stuff like that.
Website, Instagram, and we have the road where our units now is quite a busy thoroughfare. So we've got a sign at the end of that, and funny enough, that pulls in some decent business as well. So
Okay. So how are you? And this is really, I guess, the crux of it is you're wanting to grow. Do you
yeah.
know what success looks like? Do you know where you're wanting to take this business? How ambitious are you?
Yeah, I am ambitious because I know there's the potential there to do like I don't know, probably 5 6 times our turnover relatively
Right.
easily. Obviously, scaling up
Okay.
staff etc. is be one
Yeah.
a different issue, but I think there's the potential there is quite big
Okay.
because that
So
the market space that we're in is quite sizable.
yeah. So I guess that brings us nicely on to then how are you going to do it? So what ideas, where are you? Yeah, what ideas have you got? What have you been trying? What are you sort of thinking in terms of how you're going to go? Because I guess with a business that is so reliant on referrals and recommendations, there's only so much you can do to really proactively dial that up. Yes, you can get out there more. Yes, you can be top of mind for these people, but they're focused on their business, not yours, ultimately.
Yeah, I think at the moment we have either maxed that relationship space out or we are
Sure.
close to it. And
Right.
obviously over the past, I don't know, year or so, where there's a downturn, obviously they're experiencing a downturn, so we experience their downturn as well. Um,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
so yeah,
There's no denying
that's
it's been a tough year or 18 months, hasn't it, for
yeah,
this
yeah,
space for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So what are you thinking this? You're thinking you want to grow. You're realizing you've probably tapped out as much as you can that, the way that has, produced the fruit up until now. So what are you
Mm.
thinking you're going to do? What have you done so
It's
far?
as I say, like our Instagram page, we get we've got a few followers on that that are quite constantly commenting, etc., etc. We don't have a
Hmm.
massive audience on Instagram. Through Facebook as well, I've found that even doing like Facebook ads and Instagram ads is very hit and miss. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm not too set on that. Um,
No.
I mean, I've done some
Anything
like
else that
direct
you're doing?
marketing as well. Yeah, some direct marketing. So we look through the planning applications in certain areas,
Right.
and then you can see who's planning to do. If they're doing this big massive extension, then 99% of the time you know that there's a big massive kitchen going in there as well.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah. So we've got like a lookbook that we send out to people,
Nice.
and that has a little bit of success.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
think
Yep.
the biggest thing that we suffer is brand awareness because our market is all about like hearing a name. Um, there's a few
Sure.
famous names out there that people
Yeah.
automatically go to because it's like, oh, that's the scene two
Yeah.
people to go
They're
to.
top of mind. You're going to,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. And I think everything that they've done is more brand awareness. Like if you tell someone's good enough for long enough, they'll believe it. So
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. So, I mean, for me, I've got a few things straight away just from what you've said. So, the because with this business, you need to be famous to a few. So,
yeah.
your target market is where? Essex, London. I know you said you can go anywhere, but for the most part, where's most of your customers coming from?
So most of our customers is from Essex, and London. We do a bit in central London. Essex is predominant amount where we target just for the fact that logistics people can come
Yeah,
down to the factory, which is another good selling point when they actually come down to the factory. They can come and look around and see what's being made, like see their projects being
nice.
made. Um,
How many
and
people do
yeah,
you
I
get
mean,
doing that on an average month, average week?
so probably once we get the ball rolling, like they've had some
Sure.
designs because a consultation, and they're like, right, yeah, let's do this. They'll come down at that point, and I think that's
Okay.
just for their own little like peace of mind that you actually really
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's an interesting thing to come and see, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so what? So I'm going to start with the top on this, and the way I'd approach this is: do you know what you said you want to sort of 5 6 times the business? Have you got
mm,
that written down? Do you know what success looks like, and have you got it kind of nailed down, concrete, as a sort of a business plan in terms of we
yeah,
want to go from where we are
yeah.
today to the next 3 5 years? Have you got that written down?
So in 5 years, yeah, in 5 years, I'm aiming to do 5 million.
Okay, fine. So And if you were to break that down and think, all right, that's 5 years, that's good. We're going to go from circa, we're going to aim to get up to the million. Then we're going to, scale that up. So if you were to reverse engineer that, what does that mean? You need to be at 3 years and then in 1 year. So if you said this time
So,
next year, where do you need the business to be? Do you know that?
so that needs to be looking at about 2 million turnover.
Okay. So
The
you're going to have
amount
to
of
go like
projects we would.
gangbusters.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
thing is, though, the amount of with brand awareness, the amount of projects you actually need isn't that bigger, isn't that much more.
No,
It's
it's not, because
more.
your
Yeah.
average customer's what? I mean,
No.
what's an average customer worth to you?
Anywhere between 50 and 80,000.
Exactly. So average customer and is right 50 and 8,000, and then an average. Hold on, average customer. So, and an average project is how long?
Um, so from start to finish, generally the process. So we have a lead time already, and that's normally about
Sure.
12 weeks. So, but once a customer will normally start that project, say within 12 weeks, and then that will be from the start till the actual install.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we also get in. I mean, we've just been finishing off a full house project in Billericay, and I actually started work on that in July 22.
Wow.
It's just
Wow.
it's just
Okay.
that
So yeah, but there's
they've had
things
a few
outside of your
planning
control,
problems.
right?
Yeah. But there's like a big span, and I find that we get pulled in at the very, very start of the project, even before sometimes they've actually selected a builder to do the job.
Right. Right.
They always get excited by the kitchen first. So
Yeah, yeah. So, because I think this is really important, is thinking about the commercials. I always start the conversation every time I'm talking to any brand, advising them. I always say, look, before we start talking about the marketing, let's talk about the business. And I think what you've got to do is think, right, if we wanted to go to 2 million turnover, then, and you're confident that for kitchens, because obviously you've got your other stuff. So I would probably challenge you on your average customer. Is it worth? If it's a kitchen, it might be that sort of level. But if you looked as a business, what's your average across all the different things? So it'd be good to understand both. So if it's a kitchen customer, which is 70% of our business, it's going to be worth X. If it's a customer that's for cabinetry or this, that, and the other, then on average it's worth 10 grand or whatever it might be. I think it's important to understand those two things. It's also then going to be important to think, right, from where we are today, turnover wise, to where we want to be, how many customers does that need us to acquire over the next year? So if we do some very, very quick and very rough maths, if we said an average kitchen customer was 50K, and we needed to add, say, 1 million onto the revenue, then what's that? 20 customers that we need to acquire.
yeah.
So, if you said sort of in that sort of 20 plus clients, then you're probably looking at, you need to have a couple of projects a month, roughly.
Yeah.
And so in order to get a couple of customers at the moment, how does that compare? If we said 2 projects a month, sorry.
Yeah.
How many are you doing currently?
So we do one big project a month, and then within that we do a couple of smaller projects that would be mixed in with that one big project.
Fine. So, but you would be what you would, and see, but to get to a 2 million, this is the thing that, again, it's important. You would have done this, but it's going through and thinking, well, okay, what does the business look and feel like? If you were going from doing one big project a month, is it realistic that in a year you could be doing 3 big projects a month? Because you would need to be doing 3 big projects a month to be at a 2 million run rate. So that's the thing, because you might go, that's probably not achievable. We may have to go and then, okay, the target needs to reduce down to 1.5.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? It feels like a big jump for me from what you said, to go from, we've got one big and a 2 or 3 little ones now, to go to this time next year, be doing 3 big ones and probably half a dozen little, that feels quite a big step. So maybe we might need to be a bit more realistic and go from where we are now. Okay, let's go if we did 2 big projects and then 1 or 2 extra little projects a month, what does that look like? That as a stepping stone, that might, and still ends up meaning you could go from where you are current run rate to maybe doing 1.5, 1.6, something in that sort of ballpark. Probably feels a little bit more achievable. And then from there, what we then do is then start to think about the marketing and go, okay, in order to get what would say 10, 12, 15 new customers over the next year, even if we said 12, so the equivalent of 1 additional big customer a month, well, then what we need to think about is how many leads do we need to get to acquire 1 customer. And at the moment, you don't know that because your leads are coming in via referral. So it's eventually a blank canvas in terms of, we don't know how many leads we need. We don't know. we know we've got some margin there to be able to buy customers in, because frankly, the margin's going to allow for you to spend, 200 or 300, 400 quid, I should think, to acquire a customer, which is great. But what we're going to need to understand, and what you're going to have to experiment with, is when you go to market, because the only way you're going to be able to scale this brand up and get that additional project a month, you're going to have to go out to market, because you're not going to, those customers are not just going to, you want to dilute down your reliance on referrers and recommendation. Therefore, you're going to have to go out to market. Now, so I would just be thinking that, I'd be thinking about, I need, say, 10, 12 customers. That's the equivalent of one a month. In order to get those, what's your gut feel? If I said to you, to get a customer, how many conversations, like inquiries, people picking up the phone, sending a form, do you think you would need? What, 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 20?
Yeah,
What's your gut telling you?
1 in 5.
Do you think it would be that good
Yeah,
from
yeah,
inquiry? I mean,
it's
because you've also got to remember, it's people that get in touch that then go, I love it. Oh, and then you tell them the price, and well, I had no idea it was so much.
So,
Once they're qualified, I would say if you could convert
yeah.
1 in 5, fine. But it's probably more realistic to maybe 1 in 10 or plus, in terms of from actual leads that people get in touch that actually go through the project. So
Yeah, see, let's
if
say
you think,
at the moment, it's just like
no, go on.
it's hard to qualify, because I have a lot of people come to me that say like an interior designer is pre-qualified.
Exactly that.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even then, we still don't get every job, just because like
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
what
yeah,
they
yeah.
want, and what that actually comes to monetary wise is like more than what they had
Yeah,
budgeted for. So that's
exactly.
yeah. It could be
But
more
you see
than
what I mean?
that.
But
So
if we kind of were, and I'm just, these are rough numbers. These is just to give you a
yeah,
flavor of the sort of thing, the way we need to be approaching this is, if you're thinking, if it was 1 in 10, if for every 10 phone calls you got, or every 10 inquiries we got through the website, bear in mind, these are coming in cold effectively, because they're not coming in via a referrer. We got a customer and we needed 10, 12 customers, then you can start to say, okay, we need 120 odd inquiries, over the year, 120, 150 across the year. You start to think, okay, we probably need 30, or so inquiries on a quarterly basis. We need, 10, 15 inquiries a month. And so that's how I would reverse engineer that and start to think about, okay, this is the sorts of volumes I need. You can then look at what sort of volumes you're getting right now. And then you can start to go, okay, well, in order to do that first goal of essentially doubling the size of the business up to about 1.5, all of that growth is going to come on stuff that we're proactively doing going outbound. And we now have a sense of, in order to achieve that, we're probably going to need 120, 150 leads coming in to convert. And if we improve that conversion rate, we get 2 in 10, well, great, we're off to the races. But I would be working on something like that.
mm-hmm.
Now, with that clear in our mind, so if we said, I'm just going to note it down, so we probably need 120 to 150 leads in the next 12 months that are going to come in cold. Because if we know that, then what we start to do, we start with the business pack, we want to double it. What's the average price, customer value? How many leads do we need to achieve that? Again, we're having to do a little bit of guesswork because we haven't got historical data to play with. But then what we need to start to think about is, where are we going to get those people from? Now, you said in your application when you applied to come on that you mentioned it again already, that you're doing a bit of Instagram, bit of Facebook. What types of campaigns are you running on those platforms?
It's like a targeted campaign, like a locally targeted campaign. So I would
Fine.
get one of a post that would put up would be, I don't know, it'd have a lot of likes, a lot of views. So that would be one that I would choose.
Right. Okay. And is this? But what is it? What story are you telling? Are you showing the transformation? Are you just showing here is it all done and looking beautiful? Like, what are you
Yeah,
telling the
kind
customer?
of selling the dream kind of thing. So
Okay.
this is what you could
So
have.
that's fine. Selling the drip, fine. I think I would be wanting to mix up the creative. I think the transformation piece, we do quite a bit in this home improvement sort of space. So the transformation, showing this is the process. So from start to finish, that time lapse, that can be very, very powerful. Showing the before and after, that can be very powerful because it's effective. This is the what it looked like before. This is what what it looks like now. I appreciate you won't
Yeah,
always be able to do that sometimes because the kitchen order would be ripped out, but where you can, thinking about different types of stories, you can tell that's beyond just thing. I think also run here's the dream as well. But the big sort of elephant in the room with Facebook and Insta and all of that is there's no intent behind it. So you said also that you're doing some boosting of posts. You do that, you
Yeah.
chuck a few £100 behind them and you boost. Yeah, stop doing that, please. Just don't
Right.
do
Okay.
that. That's a great way of wasting your money, because just don't do it, Brandon, honestly, because boosting a post, you get such minimal targeting options and very little control. It's that's kind of level one, how to waste money. Just stop boosting posts.
Okay.
And the thing is with your social advertising, your Facebooks, your Instas, all of that stuff, hugely powerful, massive advocate of it. But the way you need to think about it is, if I'm on Instagram, if I'm on Facebook, right, I am not looking, nor have I shown any interest in buying a kitchen or being anything like in the market to doing a house renovation, planning extension. It's one in a blue moon that you might just capture the right person at the right time in the right location and think, yes, I am thinking of doing a house renovation. Great. You might capture that person. But the problem is, most of the time, that is not going to be the case. It's just they're looking at what their friends are doing out on the town, or they're and then you're interrupting them with, hey, here's a beautiful kitchen. Did you know you could have something like this? They go, oh, it's lovely, it's great, but I'm not interested in it, because and that's the problem with social advertising. Now, obviously, I haven't seen your ad accounts, but this is, from what you've said, this would be a problem. So what I would be doing if this was my business, I would be looking at very targeted Google ads. Why? Because there's search intent. So you want to capture people when they've raised their hand and they've said, look, I am looking for this stuff. I am actively searching. If someone is searching Google for kitchen companies, this, that, and the other, they are essentially pre-qualifying themselves. They are saying, this is what I'm interested in. Now, obviously, within that, you're going to set that geographically within your target area. I wouldn't even be doing the whole of, say, Essex. I would be going after, particularly because you said at the top, you want to go after the more affluent projects and so on. So you're going to have to do your research. Where are the most affluent parts of Essex, of London? Which are the areas you want to be targeting? The great thing is with Google Ads, you can run ads to a postcode. Like, you can run very, very targeted ads. You can get those ads in front of the right people. And crucially, you're only going to be, if you set the campaigns up right and you do the right targeting and you use your data to tell you your organic data, so Google Search Console, you can use all your data to tell you how people search. You can look at your competitors, and you can start to get a really clear idea of if someone is looking for kitchen companies near me, or, luxury kitchens in Essex, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're the people you want to get in front of. Does that make sense? Because you're not doing
Yeah.
Google Ads at the minute, are you?
No.
You are doing.
No.
No,
No, I'm not
that's
doing
what.
good.
So
No. Over the years, I've had ad companies come to me and you've tried it, and
yeah.
what you do is keep getting the phone call. Oh, you need to spend a bit more on budget. It's a bit more budget, and then you think, hold on a minute, this is not adding up here. I'm still not
Yeah.
getting a return. And
But if you're gonna have to, again, yes, there are a lot of people out there that do it, do it to a subpar level, of course. So it's about who you work with. But from how you grow this business and you double the size of this business, and thinking about the beautiful thing that you've got is the average customer value is fantastic. Now, I appreciate, there's going to be a margin in that, but as long as you're making a good margin on that sort of level of sale, that gives you more than enough room to buy a customer. So you're going to have to experiment for 3-6 months with your targeted ads. But in terms of getting out to market, being able to get in front of those people when they are vested and interested and looking for that solution, that is the way to do it. Then what I would be doing is using Meta to retarget those people. So think of it like a funnel, very simple. You say within a target area, postcode, cities, towns, whatever you want to target, you can also layer in different audience signals. You can identify the key search. But if I'm going onto Google or Bing or whatever, and I'm looking, then Crabtree and Hargreaves needs to be there. You need to be on Google. So you can say, yes, we do luxury kitchens. And you can, what's called neg out. So you can apply negative keywords to your campaign. So anyone that's looking for effectively cheap kitchens, or anyone that's looking for stuff that's not at the price point you're looking for. So you could negative out all of the brands that you would think of that provide kitchens that not at your level. You can get rid. So you're not going to appear in searches for people looking for this type of kitchen or that type of kitchen. You can go very specific on, we provide tailored luxury, high-end, et cetera, kitchens within a target area. You could layer in some other audience targeting. You get people on the site. You then can track them via, if you put the pixel on your website and so on, you can then make sure that as a brand, you can stay top of mind. And then you can serve them the beautiful ad on Meta because they are in the market for the product. Whereas at
So
the
you
moment,
basically
if you
be
just go out
using
on social, hit and hope.
yeah. Yeah, so just be using like your socials really just to remind people we're still here.
Absolutely that. That's what I'd be doing. Because for me, if this is, if this was my business, I'd be thinking, if you're not in the market for a kitchen, then you have you have no interest in a kitchen, right? If you're not, and how often does someone replace a kitchen? It's some people it's once in a lifetime, people might be every 10, 20
Yeah,
years. So
yeah,
if you're going out to anyone and everyone, they may appreciate the aesthetic and they may think, oh, that's beautiful. And they may at the time think, do you know what, that crab technology, I like those guys. I'll go to them when I do my kitchen. But if that's not for 2 or 3 years, they've long since forgotten you. So what you need to do is get in front of the people when they are actually looking. It's an absolute no-brainer for you to be doing targeted Google ads.
hmm
Does it make sense?
yeah, it does. So then
Yeah. Obviously,
so
you need to
I,
get someone in your corner that can do it properly. But it's and then what you need to do is start to understand how many leads it's going to take, or so how many you need to work. You're going to have to work out, and this you'll only know this when you start getting to the data. But what you
yeah,
would be aiming to achieve within the first 6 months is how many clicks does it take to get me a phone call or a form inquiry or a lead? Because then and then the next correlation you make, the calculation, is how many of those form inquiries, phone calls, and leads do I need to make a sale? And you're going to have to go through some testing and measuring to figure that out. But then once you figure that out, you'll grow the business in the interim. But then once you're at that point, then you can go, okay, I know that it costs £200, £300 to get a sale. But if that sale is worth X amount and my margin on that sale is Y amount, you can do the math and go, this is how we scale. And so
mm,
it's a 6 months experiment is what I'd be looking at this. You then grow the business over the next 12, 18 months, get it, double the size, dilute your reliance down on referrers. You're building up your brand visibility. You're staying top of mind for all those people. You're going to have a compounding effect because the more ads you run, the more people that are searching and looking and going on the website, you capture those people, you're retargeting those people month on month. And sometimes, as you said, you might be retargeting them for 6, 12, 18 months on a infrequent basis to not annoy them, but you're staying top of mind. In turn, what you're going to achieve off the back of that is increased brand awareness. You're going to be top of mind for more people. You're going to build up your customer list. If you have reasons, get people, I would put pop-up on your website to get people to sign up. Maybe they download a planning guide or things to
yeah. So
consider when doing a new kitchen, that sort of stuff.
we got what we call a lookbook. So basically, it's like a brief
Mm-hmm.
overview of what we do. We've
Perfect.
got one of the people who's doing our website. They're actually going to put that on like a download, but obviously they've got to give some information over for that.
Yep,
So
that's
why I'm
good.
capturing.
That's good. Yeah, that's exactly what I'd be doing. But that for me is how I would scale this business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think the offline stuff, sending stuff physically through the post, I think again to those targets, because what you can do with this is you've got your brochure. You could, once you capture that initial data, you could follow up, get then their address and stuff like that. You can then follow up in the same way as your sales team would follow up. You can follow up with offline marketing and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That for me, that is kind of case, shut in terms of how I would grow this business. Before we go any further, are you enjoying today's episode? If so, you'll love our other show, Tea Talks. They're short, informal chats where the Evergreen experts and I share actionable nuggets on all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy that we use daily when growing our clients' businesses. And best of all, much like this podcast, it's completely free. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, see the link in the description. Now, let's get back to it. Is there a reason you're not running Google Ads? Is it just that you've tried and it hasn't worked? Is that it's just kind of put you off?
I think years ago we spent like a good bit of money, a good few years ago, and I've really felt like that I got done over because it was really, I don't know, I'm going back a good 10 years, and I found it really difficult to quantify.
Sure.
Because they would go, oh, I said like, well, where's the data that you've got? And they go, oh, we'll send you a report. And I had it in the back of my mind. I was like, yeah, you're just sitting there, just tapping a few numbers into a spreadsheet, and I would be none of the wiser.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy. This, if you track leads and phone calls, it's really not. I mean, the world's moved on. If it's 10 years ago since you've done it, the world's moved on a long way. If you want to grow this business, you are going to have to do some outbound marketing for sure. You're going to have to get yourself out, start waving the flag and getting this brand in front of people.
Yeah.
And as I said, Google Ads is a great way. It's not the only way, but it's an amazing way of doing that because you can be so targeted, you can be so specific. It's a no-brainer. It's just, I would do it. And as you say, make sure that, you can track forms, you can track clicks to the, of people that are phoning. So it's very trackable. Are you going to be able to quantify exactly this, to the exact number of how many people did this? And that's going to be more tricky because we're in a data-driven attribution world now. But are you going to be able to measure and see, well, look, I put X in, I got, so you invested X, I got this number of recorded leads. And from those leads, I can see that we've seen an uplift in sales by X percentage. Absolutely, you should be able to see that. All of our clients see that sort of stuff. And as I say, we've got various clients in what I would describe as the home improvement space. They're all after leads. They're all tracking forms. They're all tracking phone calls. And then we just make sure that they feed back to us. So we're looking at the data and then they're feeding back to us. Okay, we've seen an uplift. We've had X amount of leads this week or this month. And then we can compare to, well, how does that compare to this time last year? And how does that compare to this time last quarter and so on?
I see at the moment for us, that is so easy to track because obviously we get it through referrals. So we're told, you've just got that sale come from that person. And so,
but you don't, but you need to, but that, if you continue to just do that, you're going to have to evolve and change it because otherwise your business is going to continue 100%. To be 90% reliant on that and you're not going to grow, and it's similarly, if you just chuck a few quid at social, it's not going to help because you might strike lucky, but it's, you might just happen to capture upon someone at the right time when they're thinking about a thing and great, you're off to the races. But that is a real hit and hope strategy, which I would not be deploying. I would be thinking, again, more strategically about this and thinking, right, how do I get in front of people? And with a combination of search ads, some retargeting ads, it's a no-brainer of how you do this.
And say
Make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And for the Google targeted ads, how would you find out your initial budget to start off with?
I would be looking at your organic data to see how many people search. With all of this stuff, you've got to kind of just experiment. You've got to just get started. If this was my business, again, for example, if I'd be thinking, I would be wanting, I would actually use the data. So I'd be thinking, right, what do I want to achieve over the next 12 months? That's where I would start. And I would say, right, how many leads do I need to be getting in the next 90 days? And I'd be saying, okay, I need to be generating 20, 30 leads in the next 90 days. You're going to have to start relatively realistically. And I'd be going, right. And so you're probably going to want to be starting, it's hard to say without looking at the data, but, maybe £100 a day is kind of the minimum I would look at in terms of, so over a month, you're spending 3K on ads. Now you're going to have to invest that in order to just actually, you've got to speculate to accumulate with any form of marketing. So you're going to have to invest. But I wouldn't be, if I was you, I wouldn't be going in and going, right, I'm going to start dropping 10 grand now. No. Yeah. But equally, I wouldn't be starting. What some brands do is they think, well, I'll give this a while and I'll put 500 quid into it. The trouble is, you put £500 into it when you're just getting started. You don't get any data that is statistically significant. You don't get enough numbers. And you'd need to look, so you'd need to do some research. You'd need to get someone. So if you came to us, we would say, right, what we need to do is we'll go and look at the level of competition, which is going to be high. Frankly, if a click could turn into a 50, 60, 80,000 pound job, then there's some value to that click. Google knows it. Your competitors know it, therefore they're going to drive the price up. So we've got customers and clients of ours where the average click we're paying is 20 to 30 pounds per click, because we know that a job might be worth 30, 40, 50 grand to that client. Whilst every click is not going to convert, the market price, the auction price dictates based on the level of competition. So we have to compete against that, and we have to set the budgets accordingly. And we might be running a £200, £300, £400, £500 a day budget, because that sounds like a lot of money. But if you're paying £20 for a click, you don't get that many clicks. But then we have to run the math to say, okay, but actually, if we get 20, 25 clicks today, we'll get 2 or 3 decent leads. And if we do that across a week, we're probably going to end up with 3 or 4, good qualified leads, and we'll get a couple of sales off the back of it.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah. So then you're going to have to
makes sense.
speculate to accumulate with this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what you've got to do, the other thing is, again, is you start with a realistic budget, but you don't just pluck a number. You kind of need to be more sort of, I'm giving you the 3K because I've seen others that have started in this space, and that's sort of where I've advised, said, look, let's just start at 3 to 5. Let's prove the model over the next 90, 180 days, and then we'll kick on from there. What you've also got to make sure you do is give this enough time, because I think, again, there's a tendency to sort of go, well, we'll try it for a couple of weeks and we'll see what we get. Again, it's just not going to cut it if you do that. You're not going to give it enough time. And I've seen that, and then you end up knee-jerk reacting.
Yeah, I know experience that.
Yeah.
These purchases are never done like on a whim. It's like a really long.
Exactly that.
So.
And you've got to factor in. I mean, as I said, we've got clients that sell hot tubs and kitchen worktops and stuff like that. Those are considered purchases. Some, you might be thinking about putting a hot tub in your garden, or putting in beautiful granite worktops or something like that. You might be thinking about that for a year, but so what you've got to do as a brand is you've got to make sure that when I'm looking at I might be looking at that initial research, and then a year might go by before I'm then back on research. But when I'm showing intent, when I'm searching for the product, or I have a problem and I'm looking for the solution, as a brand, if you're in my target area, my target demographic, and you're showing you're displaying the right signals, it's your job as the brand to be in front of them at that time. That's what you've got to do. And then you capture their data so that you can start to build the know, like, and trust, and you can nurture them and educate them and inspire them and help them, which is your brochure and stuff like that, and your content. And then from there, what you're doing is you're retargeting them to stay top of mind and show them the beautiful thing. This is what your finished project could look like. This is the stuff you should do. There is not a doubt in my mind that you could scale this business to 2-3 million, as you say, relatively easily, so long as you actually had a go-to-market strategy that was focused on getting in front of the right people at the right time.
So, and then my other question really is like brand trust, because there's a lot of what we do. Obviously, it's a big expense, so that person then has to trust you. And it's convincing that person to part with a lot of money. So at the moment, obviously through referrals, it's quite easy because they know that their friend has just done it, or their builder knows that we've done it.
Yeah, of course.
People.
Yeah.
So you've got that. So that I think that is to build the business as such. That is the other stumbling block, or I should say, like the big barrier to becoming.
I don't think it is. It's not a barrier to growing. It's something you're going to have to be mindful of and factor in. How do you get around that? It's easy. You got to tap into. So reviews. You need to be Google famous. So when you Google the brand, what comes up. So you're going to want your Trustpilot reviews and your Google reviews and stuff like that. The best way to build know, like, and trust is to actually have multiple touch points with your target customer, right? So for that, I would be, you mentioned one of your questions was around content marketing. I would be creating content, but not just content like blog posts that no one's going to read or have an interest in. What I'd be doing, I would be using video, and I would be showcasing the kind of the behind the scenes. This is what we do. These are the transformations we're making. This is humanize the brand, basically. Showcase what you do. Make yourself real so that it goes beyond just some beautiful imagery that someone might look at and go, well, is it theirs or is it stock imagery or whatever? But actually, no, this is who we are. This is us as people, and these are some of the projects we're doing. Because if I was about to spend 50K on a kitchen, I would absolutely be doing my research. Who are these guys? Let me see what they've done. Let me see what others are saying about them. Let me see some of them, at work, some of their projects. So having case studies and examples and reviews and testimonials and all the classics, but actually I would want to see some of that actually happening. And I think video is a great way of humanizing your brand. And that's how you do it. That's how you build know, like, and trust.
Yeah. I say that we do that kind of thing on our Instagram stories. Like I'm always posting like every day on our stories.
Perfect. That's the sort. So that
going to site, but
plug that in on the website. Get your Instagram so it's there, so it's very prominent. Because if I go on your website, it's where would I see? There's nowhere does it mention your Instagram.
Right at the end. So on the contact us, it'll be on there.
Yeah, but that's buried. I'd be putting it if you are really proactive, you can get these widget stuff that showcases off all of your Instagram. So I'd be doing if you're making an effort with Instagram, which is a visual platform, it makes sense to do so. That's what I'd be doing is making sure that it's a more prominent feature on your website. So things like that. I mean, there's oh man, there's just so many things you could be doing here to really take things to the next level. And the content, just don't fall into the trap of writing blog posts and just doing loads of blog posts. Don't create any content purely for Google, right? My top tip, just as a brand, if you want to get traction with your content, with a content marketer, think about what content is going to resonate and be useful, genuinely useful for our target audience. Create that. If we're going to create content, we're going to write a long form worded piece and we're doing it mainly to manipulate the search engines, that's the wrong approach. Create content that your customers would genuinely find value in.
Yeah.
And mix it up. Do different forms. Create some long form, create some time lapse, create some short form, create some talking head shots, create some behind the scenes shots, day in the life shots. Like mix it up. Humanize your brand with this because that's how you're going to stand out in your target area. Is you build that know, like, and trust. Oh yeah, these guys at Crabtree, they're really good. I see their stuff on Instagram, or I just saw that latest project they're working on. Isn't it beautiful? That's what you want.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I want to get into the questions now because you asked some really good questions on the application. So the first thing, which we kind of just covered actually, was what's the best thing that you can do to help with the brand awareness? Just show off what you do. And I've basically said leverage video. Create the before and after shots, bring you behind the scenes, the day in the life, humanize the brand. That's what I'd be doing, and video is by far and away the best way to do that. So that's what I'd be doing to build that brand awareness and incorporate the social channels using it onto the website. The website is mentioned on your social channels. Just get a real mix going on. That's what I'd do on that one.
Okay.
The second question was, what media will give us the best bang for your buck? As again, we've discussed it. It's geo-targeted search ads. So Google. I'd be starting on Google, maybe do a bit of Bing as well. Very specifically targeted, probably to the postcode. I'd identify the most affluent postcodes in Essex. And then I'd be going after those with very targeted search ads. So your ads are only going to spend money and be seen by people in those areas that are actively looking for a new kitchen. You're not going to get, if you do that approach, you're not going to get huge volume, but you don't want huge volume. You want very, very targeted clicks. That's 100% what I'd be doing with this.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third question that you asked is, it was, if this was my company, what would I do? What would be my marketing playbook? Which is a great question. I've written some notes of what I would do. So if you want, I can just rattle through them. And some of it we've covered, some of it we haven't. And then you can take what you want from it. So if this was my business, first thing I'd be doing is working out, which again we've touched on, is how many projects do I actually need. So rather than just having a figure of I want to grow to 5 million, I'll be going, no, in the next year, how many projects do I actually need, and what those projects can be worth to me. So that's the first thing I'll be working out and get a set number in my head and go, but this time next year, I'm going to have worked on X amount of projects in total. Then work out how many. So I start with all the business calculations first. I'd start with how many projects I need. Then I'd start with how many leads that I need to get that amount of jobs. So basically working out your conversion rate. I'd work out, as I said, which are the most affluent areas. That would be the next task I would do. And I'd do that down to the postcode level. I'd then run those super targeted ads. I, as I said, would include video transformations on the website. So just to, again, make them feel that much more relatable, make you as a brand feel more relatable, kind of see the people behind the product.
Yeah, okay.
You already mentioned you do a lookbook. Was on my list. I would definitely be creating like a really glossy, high-end brochure that I would be getting both digitally, so via PDF, and also physically printed and getting it through the mailboxes of all your target customers. And with that, I would go speculative. You identify all the key postcodes. I would speculatively put a brochure for all of their doors.
Yeah.
Retargeting campaigns. That's another one I would definitely be doing across Google and Meta. I'd probably be looking at doing some Pinterest advertising as well. Again, very targeted. I'd add a pop-up on the website to make it so you, again, download our lookbook, make that really prominent, because most people that come to your website are going to not be ready to say and to make an inquiry. So therefore, what you want to do is go, well, just download our thing and have a look. It's just ask for first name and email. That's all you need at this point. And then have an email follow-up sequence was, well, if you enjoyed that, if you give us your address, we will send you X and Y and whatever. So I'd be doing that. Other things that I'd be doing is, if this was my businesses, I'd be doing some, this is random, but I'd be doing some bus stop adverts in your target area. So, you can actually put the posters in the bus stops. I'd be doing that.
Oh yeah, I've seen you see like the big banners on the side of a motorway. Would you think that's good or?
Personally, I would do it more. If this was my business, owing to who you want to focus on, I would go more localized than that. So I would do the bus stops if it was me, because I'd want to go, again, very, very niche to avoid spending too much and to make sure that the people are going to see it. I would go bus stop advertising. I mean, it's a world away from what I actually do because my job's digital marketing, paid media. But if this was my business, I would want to do a combination. I would take a real omni-channel approach to this. I'd also do things like community newspaper adverts. I'm a proper marketer. So if I was marketing a business that had a very set geographic target area, and I knew specifically who I wanted to get in front of, because you only need, you get 10, 12 decent projects over the next year, of the right size and caliber we want, you double the size of your business. So the fact that you only need so few customers, you need an online and an offline strategy for how you'd go and get them. And I would base everything around.
I actually tried one of the local newspapers into like one of the nicer areas where we are, and it failed miserably.
But how do you know it failed?
I done it for 3 months. Well, basically, I lifted an offer in there, so they would get like free designs and yeah.
But I would see again. And again, it's just how I would say. I wouldn't see that as a failure, because what you've done in that is you've got brand awareness, right? I would be seeing is I don't know how many people that went out to, maybe a few hundred, a few thousand. But again, you have no way of knowing with so much of what you're describing, your marketing you're doing it and there's no intent. So you may have put something through the letterboxes. You may have gone in a local paper. You don't know. There could be, if there's no one looking for a kitchen at that time, right? You can't judge the success or failure, because yes, if you get a quick win and you just happen to capture someone at the right time, great. You would go, that's amazing. Looks like the best return. You spent 500 quid and you got, a 70 grand kitchen. That looks like an amazing return. But the way I would see that is, well, that many people have now seen the brand, potentially. And I'm sowing seeds. So much of what you've got to do is sow seeds with your marketing. Okay. But then what I would offset that to make, because if you're just sowing seeds and you're not getting leads now, that's going to feel frustrating and like you're not making progress. So you've got to look at your marketing as, what am I doing to sow seeds? That is your Instagram. You are sowing seeds, right? Most people say, oh, that's really cool. I'm years away from looking at a kitchen, but I like that. So you're sowing seeds. If you do bus stop advertising, if you do adverts in newspapers, if you're creating content, if you're recording and sharing videos, it's all sowing seeds. There's no action, there's no search intent for it at all, right? But sowing seeds gets you the leads. How's that That's beautiful. But sowing seeds is going to get you there. That is a tagline, right? Sowing seeds gets you the leads. And I think that's what it's about. But that's the leads that are going to come in time, right? Whereas what you need to be doing is offsetting that with this search intent. So you've got to look at this as two strings to the bow. Uh-huh. What are you sowing seeds to get the leads in the future? A search intent. So people that are raising their hand right now saying, yeah, I'm interested in that. That's how you're going to get leads now. And by having those, you imagine if you have those two strings to your bow, you attribute a budget. You go, do you know what? I'm going to spend 5K a month on Google Ads, and I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to see the return, and I'm going to measure and see how many leads we get, and how many phone calls, how many forms we get, and so on. And then once I'm happy with that level and the margins work, I'm going to scale it. You then are sowing seeds for your future leads in terms of the other activity, not expecting a return on it, but you're building the brand. And then if you've got your referrals, your recommendations, suddenly you've got 3 core parts to your business that are all working in tandem, all driving leads, albeit with different frequencies. That becomes a very, very sexy business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'd be doing.
Sounds like a good plan, that does.
There you go. And I think the other thing, just to add to that, is the email marketing. That is, again, another thing. I want you to capture that data. Just have a simple sequence where you're just adding, even once a month, once every 6 weeks, where you just add a little guide and a little video. And, here's our latest project, because that is so powerful. If you can go, here's a recent project we've just done. They might not even look at it because they're not interested. But the minute they start thinking about kitchen, they're going to go, oh yeah, I remember these guys were showing me projects, and I watched it and stuff like that, and fascinating. Yeah. And then you've got all your usual testimonials, customers, customer case studies, all of that good stuff. Is that giving you a few things, sort of food for thought there?
Yeah, no, that's been really, really good. Really good. Just giving it, as I say,
I think you've got...
We've never done any real proper marketing. And like what I said earlier, really, it's a time that's where we've been lucky enough to just have other people just bring stuff to us. So, but yeah, being reliant on that.
I think you're just going to have to change your mindset, aren't you, now?
Yeah.
Because that's only going to take you so far. And if it's taking you as far as it's going to take you, great. If you're happy and content with that, stick. But if you're going to have to change your mindset and think of it more like we've covered. I mean, you can listen to this podcast, watch this podcast back, and that's the approach you're going to need to take if you want to scale it. And if you do, if you think about it in the right way and you approach it and you think logically, use common sense. Biggest thing I say to people is, whoever you're talking to, marketer, agency, freelance, in-house, just, is what you're describing, does it make sense? Does it feel like common sense? Because if it does, then you're on the right track. If something feels overly complicated or you can't understand it, then be cautious. But if it's making common sense, then you're probably on the right sort of lines.
Yeah. So what you've said really just makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Well, I hope so. That's the aim of the pod, right? Is to just give you... that's all I want to do on the product. Is every brand I speak to, they're all at different sizes, different sort of types of businesses, and they've got different challenges. But the recurring theme, we've done so many of these pods now, and the recurring theme from all of them is that they need someone to come in with the external pair of eyes and just look at it and go, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? From this, what we said is start thinking about, stop boosting posts for the first thing. Start thinking and really nail down and write down what the business looks like in a year from now. Describe it, how many leads, how many sales, and then reverse that back and go, okay, so what do we need to do over the next 6 months? And what we do, what we work with our clients is to work on 3-month sprints. So I would be challenging you and going, right, what is the key things to make that all happen? So in a year from now, you're sitting there going, right, we've done 1.5 million. We've diluted our reliance down on the referrers. We're getting more and more inquiries than we've ever had. We're scaling up nicely, and things we're starting to look good. In order to be feeling and that being the case in a year from now, what do I need to do in the next 3 months? Because if you make a list for the 3 months, and don't be over ambitious, but chip off a few things. Right, if we can do this, this, and this, that'll set us up a treat. Then what do we do in the next 3 months? Just take a very methodical approach to it.
All right, okay.
Yeah, good man. Well, look, Brandon, I've really appreciated you coming on. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions, or we'll wrap it and we'll leave it there?
No, I think you've covered everything really. As I say,
good man.
Asking that question, what would you do? And you've given us all of it.
There's quite a few. I got that and I thought, there's loads I would do here. So I just noted down a few bits. But yeah, all sorts of options and avenues. The world's your oyster with this. You've got so many things you could do with it. It's quite exciting. I think that you've got loads there, and there's more than enough affluent areas across Essex and London for you to be targeting. So go and have some fun with it. Yeah. But look, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. As I say, keep us posted. If you want to pick my brains on anything off air, just give me a shout. I'm always happy to have a chat. And thank you again for being on.
Thanks a lot.
All the best. Thanks, Brandon. Bye. Well, there you go. That was Brandon. We went really off on all sorts of directions there. Brandon is one of those, Darren, for me, that is just, he doesn't realize how much potential he has in this business.
I mean, yeah, it seems like it could skyrocket.
But he's built a business. So many businesses in this space, particularly home garden, but home and improvement. There are so many brands in this space that their business just is built through referrals, because there's builders, there's architects, there's designers, and so so many I speak to, and they just go, well, we got the first couple of million under our belt, and we didn't really have to work that hard for it. We didn't have to go to market. That's only going to take you so far. Actually, if you then deploy a go-to-market strategy like the likes of which we've been describing, you dilute down the rights, and then all those referrals, recommendations, if they become the cherry on the cake and not the whole cake, you are cooking. And I think with this, not even started on Google Ads, not really doing proper retargeting when it comes to Meta, not doing hyper localized, very focused stuff.
As you say, it's a no-brainer.
It really is. It really is. And the whole, as you say, just that sowing seeds, to just get those leads in the future is beautiful. I love that. Sowing seeds gets the leads. There you go. Love that. Right, we're going to leave this one here. Fascinating conversation. So I love doing this pod. It's these conversations. I could have these conversations every day. If you're watching this and you think I've enjoyed that and you want to come and join me, and we can get into your marketing challenges, because I absolutely love it. And what fun we've had. And we'll see you in the next one. All the best. Take care. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, well, on the left side of the screen, you'll find a video that YouTube has hand-picked just for you. On the right, you'll find our latest video hot off the press. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Thanks for watching.